Welcome to the Debsterism channel. My name is Deborah Cooper. I am the relationship coach and advice columnist here on the Debsterism channel on YouTube. You know, over the last 30 years, I've spent a lot of time trying to educate women about boundaries and how to love smarter, how to advocate for themselves, how to eliminate toxic people from their lives, and establish and maintain boundaries, and generally just how to think and make some thoughtful choices, in your path through life that are in your own best interest. So today what I wanted to do is create just a short video with 12 guidelines for women that are basically culled from those. There's over 1,000 videos and probably about that many blog posts and articles that I've written as well. So this basically gives you kind of a quick, down and dirty way to hear the key messages that are contained in all of those documents. So it'll make it easy for you to understand, easy for you to come back and listen to before you start dating again, or if you're in a relationship and you're a little bit confused about whether you should stay, this may be helpful. Because really, I'm telling you, I think that 99.999% of the relationship problems that women have, which are basically evidenced by the letters that come into the advice column every week, could be eliminated overnight. And I know I'm not the only advice columnist that gets those kind of letters, but these key issues that I'm about to go over keep coming up again and again and again. And it's like women all over the world make these mistakes. Some of it is cultural, of course. They would really struggle trying to get away from it. But that still doesn't mean it's not a bad thing, that it's a bad thing for women. And so therefore it's going to be on the list. So here we go. My number one rule, I swear this is my number one thing, my pet peeve in all relationships, is that you should never help a man be a man. Never help a man be anything. That means you don't step in for him to do stuff for him like a little codependent woman, doing things for him that he should be doing for himself. I mean, what, are you his mommy now? You need to stop. Too many of you want to jump in and save a man from himself. You want to do things like pay his bills after he done gambled away his money. You want to help him start a business instead of sending his butt to the bank, like a proper businessman with a business plan and stuff like that. You're going to look, he needs a job. You're going to be looking him online, looking for him a job and applying for him. You give him pocket money like he's a 10-year-old little boy on an allowance. Keep in mind, ladies, giving him money is not just, cash. That includes allowing him to use your credit because his is jacked up, or he just don't want to use his, or because you're going to buy him a car or a truck or whatever. You're going to buy him some clothes for an interview. You're going to buy him clothes because he wants some new fits and some new J's. You're going to rent an apartment or buy a house with him using your credit and your money, and you're not married. This also includes treating him like a dependent child in other ways, like you're going to find him a ride to go to work or anywhere else. You look for him the ride instead of him doing it himself. You pay for dates because he's too broke to pay for the date with you. You pay for trips because he's too broke to pay. So you cover your half and his too. You call people on his behalf. You cover for him and you make excuses for his negative behavior with your friends, your family, even his family and his friends, so he won't look bad. You allow him to use your credit and drive your car. Some women will give men options to choose from, like he's 3. I mean, that's what my mother did when I was a little kid. Would you want this dress, or this dress? And I would pick one. Did you want to wear this, or this today? And I would pick one. That's what little children do. You don't do that for a grown man. You sit back and you give him the space to choose for himself like a grown man should. This also includes helping a man, also includes giving him money, but it also includes allowing him and his kids to spend a lot of time at your house, and you never demand that he contributes to the cleaning, to the groceries, to the cooking, to the water bill, to the power bill, to buy laundry soap, to buy toilet tissue, all the resources that you provide and the additional costs that you incur while he's at your house all the time. You think it's cute and it's romantic because you guys are always together. You don't even understand how played you're getting. While he saves his money in his pocket and his bank account because he doesn't have to buy those things if he's at your house and you doing it. Don't you understand the game? Rule number 2, never let a man move in with you. I want you to think about this now. How can he be head of the household and a leader and somebody to follow like y'all want to talk about if he's moving into your spot with you? Because that means that you're the provider of the roof over not just his head, your head, but his as well. Women who make this mistake often cry about it later because the guy's not paying any of the bills and he has the excuse, which is somewhat valid, but it's still wrong. Well, you were paying them all before I came, so why should I have to pay anything? Right? It's true, you were. But where in the world do adults live for free? Except at their mommy's house, maybe. So, to me, though, what able-bodied, self-respecting grown man thinks living is free? Even if he was with his mother, he should still be covering some bills. You know what I mean? What kind of man is it that allows a woman to take care of him like he's some kind of little daisy flower or something? Some of you are so anxious for a man to move in with you that you will gamble losing your low-income housing vouchers, which you have because you're not, you ain't balling like that. But that voucher is provided to help you provide safe shelter for minor children. It is not there for you to shelter some dusty bum who doesn't want to work or doesn't want to pay rent. So he's, using up your resources. You do that just because you want to have some broke, dusty butt man laying up with you. And I need you to ask yourself, how can you be that desperate? Think about what message you send to your male children about men stepping up and taking care of their family and their home. What message are you sending your boys? And then think about your girls. What message are you sending to your daughters? Aren't you worried that they're going to repeat your behavior and end up with a broke, dusty bum too? I would be. It bothers me that so many women don't see a problem with this dynamic until it's too late, and some of you don't see it at all. Unfortunately, what I've surmised is that a lot of you grew up seeing the women around you allow men to do that, allow men to come and live off of them. So to you, that kind of dysfunctional behavior is normalized, but it's wrong, okay? So we can take this a step further, and we're going to include point number 3. Never move in with a man that you are not married to. Okay? Queens don't be moving in with the king. They move in after the marriage, and they move into the palace with the king, right? So, and the king, they move into the king's palace. He don't move into theirs. Let's keep this real, okay? Why would you purposely want to provide wifely duties and services to a man who absolutely has refused to step up and be your husband? Why would you do that? That's not a smart thing to do. When you move in with a man, you just think about what women give men in relationships. You living there, right? So you giving him all the benefits of a wife. He gets to see you 24/7. He laying up, you cooking for him, cleaning for him, you doing all stuff. But he doesn't have any of the legal ties to you. He don't have any of the responsibilities that he would have as a husband for you. He has none of the obligations to you because you're both still single. Do you understand that? You're not married, you're single. I don't care how long you've been together, you're still single. You need to be strategic about your interactions with me, and that's why I'm making this video. There has to be some kind of planning and forethought and strategy to it. There has to be something that a man has to do, a hurdle that he must jump, test he has to pass, performance standards that he must meet to get that kind of 24/7 access to you, and the feminine energy that women bring into a relationship along with the emotional labor. And I have to admit, those of you who've been listening to me understand, I'm not really a big fan of marriage these days because I don't understand what it's good for anymore. Unless there's children involved, then I'm certainly 150% behind it because of the protections that it provides children. But I still think women should not give wifely perks and benefits to mere boyfriends under any circumstances. If you're having some trouble, financially, and you want to lower your housing costs and food expenses and stuff like that, why don't you go in with 2 or 3 other ladies in a similar situation? Get you all a 2 or 3 bedroom place, try to get the kind that has 2 master baths or something like that. And then you share it, right? Make sure that before you do that, you set up all your rules of engagement, your chore list, set up who pays for what, how much, and all that kind of stuff. And then y'all do what you need to do. But if you trying to save money, that's not a good reason to move in with a man that you're romantically involved with. There's more to that kind of relationship than just a roommate. And if you do have a roommate and then you sleeping with him, and he's not paying nothing, you're a dummy, okay? Rule number 4, when you say no, stick to it like a boss, okay? This is key. You cannot allow yourself to be pressured or whined or guilt-tripped or ridiculed. They're going to tease you. Yeah, you just a nag. Or they manipulate you or coerce you or threaten you into doing anything that you don't want to do. Anything. It has to be anything that you do, anything you put in your mouth, anything you drink, anything you wear, any place you go. It has to be fully your choice, made without what the legal system calls duress, which is all the things I mentioned above. If you have any doubts, you have questions, you have concerns, you are really comfortable with what it is he's talking about, you giving him the side eye like, what? And you say no, then that should be the end of it. That should be the end of him asking. That should be the end of any and all conversation on the matter. Remember, once you say no, you don't have to justify it. You don't need to explain your no. You don't need to go into any great detail about why you said no. My thing is this: if he asks, well, why not? All you should say is, I said no, and this discussion is closed. Okay? And anything he says, you just keep repeating that like a robot. I said no, and this discussion is closed. Or you could just take off that last part. I said no. I said no, and you just keep saying, I said no. Now, as trite as the saying is, because, everybody says this, no really is a complete sentence, though. It's everything. You don't need to explain anything else to it. The problem is, though, that some of you just really struggle with saying no. I want you to remember this. It applies to men. It applies to pets you're trying to train. It applies to bosses, and it applies definitely to the kids you're trying to raise. If you say no, remember this, if you say no, and then you go back and you let him change your mind with his pressuring, his whining, his threats, his ridicule, his guilt tripping, and all this kind of stuff here, then basically what you just done is teach that person that you don't mean what you say. And that if they badger and pound on you long enough, even just a little bit, that he can get whatever he wants out of you. That is a bad message to send because it portrays indecisiveness, weakness, and fear. A queen never gives in. Never. Your no should stand until hell freezes over, pigs fly, and dolphins dance on mountaintops, okay? That's how long your no should be in full effect. Rule number 5, never allow yourself to get pregnant by any man that you are not married to. Of course, even if you do get pregnant, there's solutions for that. Some were damaged by earlier this year's legal changes, but there's still options. You need to be on your BC. You need to head for that plan B. You should keep some in your drawer. Whatever's the situation, handle your business and don't be trying to have no baby by a fool. Every single week on the advice column, we get in at least one letter from some silly young girl who finds herself pregnant by a fool who's already clowning before she even has a baby. He's clowning she's pregnant. He's clowning and she just announced the pregnancy. It astonishes me how many young women, after you witness firsthand the brokenness, the stress, the depression, the absolute and total exhaustion, and the emotional turmoil that single mothers experience, but y'all gonna still insist on putting yourself willingly into that baby mama trick bag. Do you hate yourself or something? What in the world is this? I don't understand it. I just really don't understand it, but it's nothing a queen would do. There's even this really weird, confused sense of hood pride that some women have when these young women have when they be talking about, well, I'm having a baby for him. I'm having so-and-so, I'm having a baby for him. They say that like they're proud to be so stupid. Why would you do that? What good is that doing for you? I know you think you're going to benefit from breeding with some random, but think about what are the benefits? I've never heard anybody say any. They never say any. They just think, well, it's romantic, or we going to be a family. How you going to be a family with somebody who's dealing with 2, 3, 4 other women, or who's just not trying to deal with none of y'all more than for a good time? What is it, this fantasy that you have in your head, that any man who's not committed to you in marriage is not going to be committed to you or that kid? Look around you. What more proof do you need of the reality of this kind of situation? And I don't care even if you've been dating for years. He still doesn't deserve the privilege of using your body to continue his lineage and pass on his DNA. This girl, I'm telling you, this baby mama stuff, this is nothing but a trap. You just be setting up yourself and your child for some drama. To me, having a child and becoming a father is a privilege. It's something to be proud of, and it's a huge responsibility. Being a daddy is not a right. It's nothing that some stray, single man, random dude who's not committed to you legally or emotionally deserves to have. Think of what I just said, legally and emotionally. Why are you having somebody who's dipping and tipping and you can't find him and you're always beefing and arguing and falling out every day, but you want to bring a kid into that mix? What's wrong with you? You need to think about what I'm saying here, and you ask yourself the question. There's a video on this channel called this too, and then what? It outlines my decision-making process. You don't think about just what's right now. You think about, okay, if I do this, if I do A, B, C, D, what's going to happen? If I do A, what's going to happen? If I do B, what's going to happen? You need to go think like that and start changing your process here. Take some time and weigh the pros and cons, the risks and benefits of any major life decision that you make before you make a mistake that you can't undo and you just stuck with it for the rest of your life. Number 6, never accept disrespectful or controlling behaviors. Being manipulated, getting used, being controlled by another person can really have a negative impact on you emotionally, mentally, and even financially. And ladies, this is, you know how I feel about that word nice. I'm like, nice needs to just DYE. The nicer you are, the more likely you are to downplay this kind of behavior. Manipulation, controlling, disrespect. You kind of downplay it. Sometimes because you don't really know how to handle it, which I understand. But most of you do know what's happening, but you make excuses for it. You say, like, well, he didn't mean it. Well, he apologized. Like, that makes it okay. You need to understand that controlling men look for the nicest women that they can find. You know why? Because to men, nice means stupid. Nice means weak. Nice means they're easily controlled and manipulated. Nice means approval seekers. You're needy emotionally. So to you, being nice plays along with what he's trying to do. You don't want to say no. You don't want to set up any boundaries. You want to be nice because you want him to think nicely of you because he will pick you. You need to understand that you're just prayed for this type of dude. He's looking for you. They know that they're the type who want approval, right? So they're gonna play along with you, it's for your own good. It's like, oh, well, I made this decision for you. It's for your own good. And you being naive are gonna go for it. What he's really doing is exerting his control over you and your life and your choices. But some of you, you finally wake up, and then after you jam him up about it, he's gonna start gaslighting you. So that's like level 2 BS. He's going to try to do that because he's going to believe that, he wants you to believe rather that wasn't what he was doing. Instead, your friends are against him. Your family hates him. You have baggage from the past. You misunderstand everything. Somehow, it's something wrong with you. It's not him. Most women, I think, do really recognize overt controlling behaviors. But a few of the more subtle ones that you need to watch out for are these. They will set you up. Suddenly he giving you all this attention, he giving you all this time, he just full of flattery. It's just like, oh, so you feeling all good and like, oh my God, he's just wonderful. This Mr. Magic right here. But it's a setup. He wasn't doing that before. And why are you so needy anyway? Some of them, well, then they start threatening you with ultimatums, right? They start putting you down when you don't do what they want. Yeah, that's why you women get single. That's why you gonna have cats. That's why that's why no man wants you. Others would start trying to use jokes. They try to use jokes as a disguise for their underhanded nasty grams, or sometimes it's just outright criticism of you, especially when they do it in front of other people. Their goal then is to humiliate you. So anything that he says or does that causes you to feel worthless or question yourself falls into this category, okay? This is what some people, what the psychologists call emotional and verbal abuse. It may not rise quite to that level, but it's still trying to get you to control what you do, what you say, where you go, who your friends are, sometimes even what you look like. They can't wear all that makeup. I don't like your hair like that. Why are you wearing that? Look out for those kind of things where he's trying to change you to put you on a path that he wants you to be on, not the path that you choose for yourself. Number 7, never involve yourself with somebody that you don't trust. Oh, this is a big one. I hear this a lot. It's like, well, I love him, but I don't trust him. I did a video on the channel about that. How you gonna love somebody that you don't trust? Just do a search. You can find it. It was one of my early videos, probably done 12 years ago. So you have this guy, right? And he has exhibited through his words or his actions that he has like side-eye questionable morals or values. That's definitely not in line with yours. Maybe some stories of his past. It may be what he plans to do in the future. It may be what he wants you to do. You listen to him and everything, but in the back of your mind, you always wonder what his game is. You're kind of on edge because you just questioning everything he does, everything he says. You always doubtful that he's telling you the whole story or the actual truth about anything. This can include behavior such as lying, which could include edited versions of the truth, right? So there's in there buried somewhere there is some truth, but he left out the good part. Okay, the part that's gonna make you go smooth off, the part that's gonna make you leave him, he leaves that part out. Okay, or maybe he's a married neighbor or a coworker who just seems a little bit too friendly, right? So you kind of giving him the side eye, like what's going on here? Or you have somebody that laughs at things that hurt you or other people. So you don't trust him. Then you're like, what's wrong with him? That don't even sound right. Or he has a baby on the way, or kids that you found out about. He didn't tell you himself. You found out through some other source, right? So now he hiding stuff. Or he's a guy who displays some undercurrent of misogyny or sexism, and he drops these little lugs every now and then about what women should do and what women should not do, and what his woman should do, all this kind of stuff. But when you jam him up, he denies it. Or he's a man who refuses to pay child support. He got multiple baby mamas. He never spends time with his kids. And you know this, and yet you stay with him anyway. How can you trust a man like that? He don't even take care of his seed. The people that's running around here with his DNA flowing through their veins, he turns his back on them. What kind of man is that? Or maybe you find out the dude is married, but he keep on creeping into your DMs or texting you inappropriately, or he's on the dating site, or maybe he was a criminal. And whether he's been caught or not, he's a crook, right? So you can't trust him. It could also include things like substance abusers. He says he only uses it occasionally, but is that true? Or things that he wants to do stuff that you find disgusting or weird or dangerous or frightening, actually. So you don't trust him. You like, well, what is all this? What does this mean? Or you dealing with a dude who thinks it's okay to hit women or abuse children or animals and something like that. And you just sitting there just saying, well, he's never hit me. But, the mold is set. It's just a matter of time, right? That's why you don't trust him. So think about all that too, because Queens ain't about that life. Rule number 8, never continue a relationship with anybody who violates your boundaries. This is key. There's all kind of videos on the channel about boundaries. Just do a search. You probably find 40, 50 of them. Disrespectful types are going to test you to see if you're serious about the boundaries that you told them that you have, right? They're like, well, yeah, she's talking, but is it real? It usually begins with something kind of lightweight, like you say, well, I don't answer my phone after 10 o'clock. Yet he calls at 11, you up there giggling on the phone and stuff. What you doing? Or you tell him not to come into your house with shoes on, but he does it anyway and say, you tripping. But you don't want your carpet with all that stuff that's outside where people don't spit, dogs, you know what I'm talking about. It's just nasty outside. So a lot of people don't want to be walking around their house with shoes on that they wear outside. It's just gross and unsanitary. Or, it could be a whole bunch of stuff. He takes food off your plate. He eats up stuff in your refrigerator that you told him not to eat because it's going to be, for your lunch the next day. It could be anything that he's doing that you asked him not to do, right? That's a boundary violation. And then typically after they start with some lightweight stuff, it's going to go on from there. It's going to include how he talks to you, how and when he touches you, how and when and what type of intimacy you wish to be involved in. How he communicates with you, like, the language that he uses, how he treats your property, your pets, your children, how he refuses to accept no for an answer. He keeps asking you anyway. These are all things that indicate someone who does not respect your boundaries. Some of them will powder wine or threaten you with the loss of the relationship or with other women if you don't give in to them. But I want to remind you that you and only you are the decider of what is appropriate for you in your life. Men who ignore or push against your boundaries are very poor bets for a relationship and nobody that you should want to involve yourself with. There's a marked lack of respect there. Okay. Number 9. We got 12 total. This is number 9. Never stay with a man who treats you like an option. Okay. This drives me crazy. In this category of women who chase after men, you chase them. You put in so much effort, it's sad. I swear you need to be getting paid. You offer to pay for dates because you just want to spend some time with him. He ain't trying to take you out nowhere. You beg to see him. You beg him to sleep over or to stay at his house. You ask when you going to see him next. Why he don't call you. Why it takes hours or even days for him to return a call or a text. Why he won't go anywhere with you and all your dates are in the house. Why he won't buy you gifts or cards or flowers. Why he won't even say happy birthday. He never says how he feels about you. Never. You just have this like hunger for acknowledgement and recognition with this dude. And it's not going to come because he's not into you like that. You need to look at how he contributes to you and the relationship emotionally and with investments of his time and his energy and his resources. That's going to tell you a lot about him and how he truly feels about you. Because a man who is into you, honey, he's Johnny on the spot. You really just be like, can you go home? Or can you do something with yourself? Besides try to be all up in my face and doing stuff for me. But if he's really into you, that's how he's going to be. If a guy's not into you, he's going to show up late for dates. If he shows up at all, he's going to not call you when he says he's going to call you. He's going to leave you hanging, waiting for him all the time. He's going to cancel at the last minute. He's going to have some weak jive time excuses. Usually they say, well, I fell asleep. I didn't hear my phone. My phone ran out of battery. It's always, it's usually one of them. You can never see him when it's convenient for you, only when he wants to see you. Then you're supposed to make time. You need to understand what's a very important thing right here. You're just one of many of the women that he's juggling, and he don't really give a poot about you. He only cares about what you do for him or what you give to him. You are a convenience. You are nothing more than that. On the blog, Surviving Dating is an article I wrote about probably 15, 16 years ago called Relationships of Convenience. Check that out. It goes into a lot more detail about this type of relationship. Rule number 10, never allow him to get away with being irresponsible or failing to be accountable to you like a man should. My grandfather raised me and my brothers and all my male cousins, all of us actually, to know that a man's word should be his bond. If he makes promises but he doesn't keep them, and that's a pattern, not a one-off, because stuff does happen, but that's a pattern, then this guy should be returned to the man's store, honey, and you should get a refund or exchange it for something else, because he's not anybody that you can count on. He's not going to come through for you. He's going to always leave you hanging. So now, how do you think you can trust somebody like that who does, little stuff with your heart and your money and your life and your body? How does that work? That kind of thinking. He's not responsible. He's not accountable. He's a dummy. And here you are thinking that you can love him into changing. You're wasting your time. Women with these type of men tend to have a plan A, which, includes him coming through, but they, in the back of their mind, they know he's not going to. So they also have backup plan B and sometimes plan C and D too, because they already know that he's going to leave them hanging. What kind of man is that? What are you wasting your time for with somebody who's not there for you? These type of dudes create problems for themselves. They're just so willy-nilly and irresponsible, it's just ridiculous. But somehow his choices and his bad decisions are always because of somebody else. Therefore, it's somebody else's fault, right? That's not being accountable or responsible. He's blame shifting. Usually, they blame you. Usually, you let them get away with it because you want to keep the relationship. You convince yourself that it's not that big of a deal. And you know what you're doing there? You're teaching them that that's okay. And that he can continue to treat you like that. And he's not going to suffer no repercussions. And it's going to be the gravy as usual. That's what you have done. You let him get away with it, which is a big mistake. Rule number 11, never allow your partner to mistreat anyone or anything that you love. This, of course, includes your children, your pets, your family, your friends, but it also includes your property. Even if you see or hear him mistreating or disrespecting his children, family, pets, parents, whatever, that should be a huge red flag that this guy is a trash human being. People who respect other people don't do that kind of stuff. I remember hearing a story from a channel visitor. This was probably a couple of years ago, about a friend of hers whose boyfriend totaled out not one, but two of her cars and didn't pay any money and just seemed to be totally unconcerned about it. Because all she did was go and get another car. And dude wasn't even on her insurance, so her insurance wouldn't pay. She had to pay herself. All of this behind a stupid man. I just didn't understand it. And finally, the most important thing you do as a boss queen, this is point number 12, my final point. Never compromise on what you need in a partner or in a relationship. Do not compromise. Black women especially are pounded, hounded, and basically ordered to accept men and things and situations that they already know is not going to be good for them. It's not going to work for them. It's not what they want. It's not what they need. For some reason, I don't know why the culture is like that. It really singles out African American women, and it's really unfair. So, it creates this dynamic where there's large numbers of women who get with men who just don't meet their needs. It's just kind of shocking to me. I'd like to look at the years wasted in what I call situationships, as these women rather try in vain to make it work. Like, making it work is important to them. They think struggle love is the norm, and it's really not. It shouldn't be that hard. And you acting like he's the only living male on the planet. Examples we've heard recently in the advice column, right? Just think back for the last couple of weeks. He doesn't help with housework. He leaves it all to me. I'm so exhausted. Or he doesn't give any affection unless he wants to. Or he's cheap and stingy and he refuses to celebrate birthdays or holidays with me. Or he refuses to pay his fair share of the bills and he buys video games and whatnot and I have to pay all the bills. Or he wants an open relationship and I don't. Or he never compliments me. Or he's violent and he hurts me, but I love him though. Or he says he's depressed and that's why he can't work. So I'm doing everything by myself, but I'm so tired. Or he says he has mental problems and that's why he can't love me the way I need to be loved. These are all examples of women who they're not compromising. They're sacrificing themselves just to say they have a man, to say they have a boyfriend, a fiance. That's the biggest one. Once that man proposes, he got open season on most women because y'all just want to be married so bad. You don't look at who you're marrying. You don't look at the relationship that you'll be marrying into. You just want to walk around with this ring on your finger talking about my fiance, but you engaged to a fool. You're engaged to an abuser. You're engaged to a bum, okay? But you engaged, and I guess that's the most important thing to you. But, to me, ladies, the best feeling in the world, the absolute best feeling in the world is when you wake up in the morning and you are able to look yourself in the eye with pride, happy that the woman staring back at you in that mirror is taking good care of herself. She's planning for her future, she's building up her assets, and she's realizing her dreams. You deserve to have the life that you picture in your mind with a loving partner that stands by you. You don't have to give that up. But if that's not what you have, and you spend more time being stressed out and crying than you do happy and excited to be with that man, proud that he's your man, that means that you're with the wrong dude. You need to do as queens do and send his butt to the dungeon. Let him go. Move on and try again somewhere else with somebody else. And next time, let's be a little more smart about this, okay? Keep these 12 guidelines in mind so you don't waste time in a go-nowhere situationship in the future. Thank you for listening. Put your comments and questions in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. But, yeah, please do better. And I'm hoping that these 12 rules will give you a little guidance and help you make that happen, okay? This is Deb Cooper. I'll talk to you soon.